Hello everybody, this is Shane R. Monroe, and today we are going to be installing, configuring, and talking about some philosophies I have about Directory Opus, the file manager for Windows. And it's good that that's trademarked because it really is the file manager for Windows. And a lot of people are likely to say, listen, a file manager is a file manager. I can copy with Windows Explorer. I can do what I need. I don't need something as high powered as Directory Opus. What a lot of people don't realize is they don't know what they need. They don't know what might make their life better. They don't know the sort of features that a good quality file manager can actually do to enhance their lives. So their digital lives, of course. Obviously, this isn't going to save your soul or anything, but it might let you shave off some time with common workflows and provide you with a great sense of satisfaction in doing your day-to-day work. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and install. I'm not going to create a desktop shortcut, and I'll explain why in a minute. And I'm going to use the defaults. Go ahead and install. I have my certificate, my licensing certificate handy. You'll be using either an evaluation certificate, which you'll get. So if I go ahead and launch right now, you'll see that it tells me that my certificate is expired because I've obviously have been using this as a demo machine before. So I have a default evaluation. Obviously, it's pretty old here. So I could either get a new evaluation, which you'll do if you don't already own Directory Opus, but I'm presuming you're here because you already own Directory Opus and you probably have this certificate already. So I'm going to go ahead and load this certificate in, go to my desktop, grab that certificate, and I'm going to blur that out so you don't get to see it. Not that I think you could probably get all of that, but there is such a thing as pause. And if you really, really want to copy every single one of these letters, God bless you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and install, and my certificate was accepted. Okay, so I am a home user, one personal license, single user plus my personal laptop. These guys are pretty good dudes. I would buy copies of Directory Opus for whatever machines you're putting them on. I will tell you that there is no phone home, so if you're worried that you have a disconnected laptop or something and it has to phone home and it can't get there, you don't have to worry about that. All right, welcome to Directory Opus. We're going to hit next. You're going to choose your language, of course. I am using English. Would you like to launch Directory Opus on startup? Absolutely. You want the power of this all the time. Now, you might be saying, yeah, but I only use file management every now and then. Do I still need to start it up? And yes, because there's other stuff it can do. You'll want this to start up. It's lightweight. It's not going to bog your system down. Just go ahead and do it. You can also use Directory Opus to replace your Windows Explorer, which, listen, once you start using Directory Opus, you'll never want to use Windows Explorer again. Go ahead and overwrite. Would you like it to be your default FTP handler? Now, you may already have an FTP tool like WinFTP or FileZilla or one of these other numerous FTP tools. I'm relatively sure by the time we're done here, you're going to want to have Directory Opus as your default FTP handler. If you don't know what FTP is or don't care, doesn't matter, you can leave it, but I would say keep it. Did I miss something? Zip handling. Yes, you absolutely, okay, listen. I use WinRAR exclusively as my zip, RAR, and everything else. Directory Opus is great to use for basic zip file management, and I'll show you a few of those things as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let Directory Opus take care of business, even though WinRAR would be my normal choice. Let Directory Opus handle double clicks on pictures and sound files. Now, I'm a huge fan of Directory Opus's file viewer. So I'm going to allow Directory Opus to take those over, and I'll show you why soon. Okay, so that's the basic setup and install. Now we're ready to get busy. All right, so the Start window gives you an opportunity to start a new lister. A lister is a collection of files and folders, just to get the vernacular down for you. Preferences, customize, or read the manual. And you'll also notice that it appears down in my sys tray, which is why I opted to not have a desktop icon, because it's always sitting in my sys tray. And there's a couple of other things that I can show you why I don't use the sys tray. So I'm going to go ahead and say don't show this again. And I'm just going to open up a new lister. We're going to get started. This is the default view of Directory Opus. Make this bigger. The first tip I'll give you is hold down Control in one of your lister windows and use your scroll wheel, and you can make your lister bigger. That's one of the very first things that a lot of people, especially like on 4K, they want to be able to get this bigger like right away, and that's how you do it. Hold down Control, roll the scroll wheel inside each lister and make it as big as you want. A lot easier to see now as well. Okay, so let's take a quick look around. It's much like any other Windows application. You have your standard menus along the top. You've got some quick action items here, almost like a ribbon. Here you have a whole bunch of other settings for views, that sort of thing, a search box. You have a folder tree, a single folder tree view over here, which will give you access to, all the same sort of things that Windows Explorer would. But where we really start seeing a difference here, of course, is the dual pane approach to Directory Opus. So you'll notice that when I click inside of a lister, the box changes color. The header box changes color, indicating that this is the source lister. The other lister becomes the destination lister. So if I click over here, this is now the source lister. This is now the source lister. This is now the source lister. And you can definitely make color changes to make that more prominent. I sort of cover that in a different video, so we're not going to talk about real aesthetics and colors in this video. Just know that there's a source and a destination. What does that mean? You're probably used to, in the old days, we'll just go to the temp folder here. You're probably used to the old days of file management where you would drag something from one window to another in order to copy it. In this case, it doesn't move by default. Maybe you only wanted to do a copy, right? You can Control-Z and undo that action, of course. But you have a whole lot of good stuff up here to help you in your basic file management. The fact that this is the source means that whatever I do here is actionable over to here. So if I want to move or copy or rename, so you can see I can highlight. I have two different highlights. Oops, I didn't mean to highlight it like that. The virtual machine I'm using is a little slow. So you can have highlighted folders in each side, and this one's still highlighted, but it's the source of the source lister in which the actions are going to apply. So now you can see when I click on that again, you get these items up here that highlight. Meaning if I hit copy right now, because this is the source lister, it copies it over here. If I hit move, it moves it over here. If I'm in this lister, and it is now my source lister, if I hit copy or move, it moves it to this lister. Dual pane is something that we had in the old days. Norton Commander, a lot of the older file managers, this was the default. This is how we did business. And I prefer it. I prefer manipulating files in one, knowing exactly what's going to happen when it goes to this other lister. Of course, you can right drag, right, just like you would do other stuff, but with Directory Opus, there's so much more you can do. So let's say we were just going to copy or move this folder, and let's say the folder already existed, right? We could copy over, right? But we could also do some other stuff. If you use that drop down right next to copy files, look at this. You have all sorts of cool stuff. So you can copy as, which is very, very common, right? So I like to copy as and move as a lot. Because a lot of times, I don't necessarily want what's in this folder to be in this folder, but I do want this folder in this directory. So I might take that and do a copy as, and I'm going to copy that as newer movies. I don't know, whatever, right? And so now I get a copy of this folder with a different name. Now, I know what you're thinking. You could have renamed it, copied it over, and then renamed it back, right? But these are the sorts of quality of life things that will eventually add up over time. You're going to go, I've been doing things the hard way this whole time. So, right, so that's your basic introduction to the interface. Now, there's a couple of things about this interface that I don't like. It's very generic, and they probably did it generic on purpose to make the classic Windows file manager users feel more at home. I love dual pane, I love single folder view, but there's a few things that I need to get done here. First off, where's my list of drives? right? I should have a list of all of my mounted drives somewhere I can get access to. Yeah, I could go over here and select this PC and get access to my drives. Well, I guess I only have one here. But the point is I should be able to put whatever drive I want in whatever lister that I want. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to move some toolbars around. So you can see everything, and almost, I would say 99.9% of everything you see can be changed, altered, moved, deleted, or otherwise manipulated into whatever you want. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and leave this. This is a standard menu bar, but this is this is a toolbar, and the toolbar should be somewhere convenient to both of these listers, no? If I click here, if I'm inside of C, let me go inside of a folder here. If I'm in here and I elect to do a copy command, I got a long travel over here to copy. It would make sense that tools that affect the source to destination dynamic actually be in between the two listers. By the way, this is how Norton Commander did it. This is how a lot of the dual pane file managers did it. So I'm going to just go over here and grab that little handle, and I'm going to drop it right in between. There. Now I actually have quick access to what I need. And either side, really, if this was actually opened up a little bit, right? I could go, so basically the trip is easier because everything's in the center. So that's the first thing that I do. The next thing is, where's my drive bar? I've got to have a list of my drives, and where is it? Well, of course it's here, it's just not turned on. So we're going to right click and we're going to go to Toolbars and we're going to go down to Drives. Boop. There we go. Now we have a drives bar. Now, obviously, if I were on my main machine, I'd have like 17 drives along here. But in this case, it's just the C drive. I'm going to go ahead and bring that in the middle too, because that's really where it would be more useful. Now, you notice I could stack, right? So I could stack it. Oop, sorry. Again, I'm afraid this virtual machine's a little slow. I'm going to go ahead and just put it next to at the moment. All right. So now, not only can I click a lister and grab a drive really fast, I also have access to all these other things. Now, I'm not a vertical guy. I'm a landscape guy. I'm not a portrait guy. I'm a landscape guy. And this doesn't work for me. I mean, look at all the space, the real estate that's wasted here. I mean, look at this. This is a lot of real estate wasted right here that I could have for something else. Now, you're like, Shane, but you moved that stuff over. You gave up the real estate. Yes and no. So we can go over here, and in our next to our lister, we can go with dual horizontal. Now you notice that dual vertical is already chosen, and there's some other things here we'll show you in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and go dual horizontal. My sensibilities are no longer offended. Now, the other reason you may want to do this, other than you're going, oh, Shane, but the same amount of real estate's being used. It's not as prime real estate. And I'll kind of show you what I mean about that. So if we go into movies, and these are obviously not real movie copies here. First of all, you'll notice I'm drilling like a madman to actually get somewhere interesting. What I really just want to do is get to some movies to show you. I can use this really neat thing called flat view. So I could basically say mixed with no folders. So this is essentially flat view. So if I say mixed with no folders, I'm going to completely destroy the entire file hierarchy and put all the files from every folder and every subfolder and every subfolder and every subfolder and every subfolder right in the main view. This is what it looks like. Bloop. You can see the original location. There were many. Now I have access to each and every one of these video files quickly and easily without having to drill into a location. So one of the reasons, now you'll notice that with location here, I'm now using more horizontal real estate. Many people get Directory Opus because they want a lot more control over what they see. I need to see more columns about movies. I need to see resolutions. I need to see creation date. I need to see edit date. I need to see, well, all of this stuff, right? What date was it created? I need the height of the video. I want the width of the video. I want them in separate columns so I can sort them that way, right? So I'm going to get the height and the width. Of course, these all happen to be the same, so I can't really sort them. But you can see what's happening. As I'm adding more and more columns of metadata, I need more and more horizontal real estate to get that done. If I'm in a vertical mode, right? Look what's going on here. I don't have room, and I have a whole lot of wasted space down here that I could be using for something else. So this is why I use horizontal, because I tend to like to have a goodly amount of columns to be displayed. And you can set columns, you can make this sticky by folder. So if in a movies folder you want it to always appear like this, versus if I go back to see, oh, wait a minute, what happened to all my columns? I go back to movies, and all of my columns are gone. So I'm going to go back to flat view again. Okay, there are my columns, right? So, but you can force all of these settings to stick in a per folder basis. Let's see. So that sort of covers my initial setup, right? I need my drive bar, and I need a handful of these things, and I need to have them put somewhere convenient. Now, the other thing that you may start doing is customizing the entire thing to meet your needs. Now, flat view, I had to come all the way up here, right? So maybe mixed no folders would be better down here. Can I do that? Well, yeah, it's Directory Opus. You can do whatever the hell you want, which is great. So I'm going to go to Customize mode, right-click Customize, and now I'm in Customize mode. Now, you'll notice some things changed a little bit. My drives kind of went away, and now it says fixed drives and other drives. So these are, of course, placeholders. So it's not going to show me all my drives, but it's going to show me that I'm going to put all your fixed drives here, and after those, I'm going to put your removable drives or other drives, network drives, afterwards. There's also things like spacer, right? So this spacer, if you remember, this help button was all the way over here. Spacer lets you push things over to the side. Now, if you're a customization freak and you want every button in its place and every place has its button, good Lord, you're gonna lose your mind with Directory Opus. So up here, remember I said under folder, there was, let's see, where was it? View. No, wait a minute, that was right. Yeah, I was right the first time. Oh, here. So under here was mixed no folders, right? I just want that. I don't need this. I don't need this. I just need this. I should be able to grab this and put it wherever I want. In this case, I'm going to drop it onto this toolbar that this stupid customize thing is holding over, and there it is. Now, I'd rather have it over here on this side of the spacer, so I'm going to just grab that guy and drop it here. And now I'm going to hit OK. If you hit cancel, you lose everything in customize mode. So hit OK, hit OK, hit OK. Boom. Now I have mixed no folders available right where I need it, anytime, all the time. I don't have to go digging through menus to get to it. This is the primary interface that I want to use. Now, I do have, obviously, numerous customizable buttons here. Obviously, I have numerous more drives in my list. And I do have a whole bunch in my regular standard day-to-day workstation. I have a lot of things changed. But this operation works well for me. Now, obviously, there are many more things that I would want to change, probably some colors. Obviously, a lot of people want a dark mode. There is no, quote, dark mode in here. But as you can see, I'll give a link to one of my other videos which talks all about color and theming inside of Directory Opus. But this gets you started. This gives you an idea where my brain thought process is when I'm setting this thing up. And you're probably saying, hey, well, what other kind of cool toolbars do we have here? And there's a whole bunch of them that are here by default. Office 365. There's an applications one, right, which will give you a sample toolbar with direct paths to certain applications. And that's kind of cool, right? So if you need to pop open a quick copy of Notepad or Internet Explorer or whatever, you can create and put all of your own stuff on here. So let's say I'm using Notepad++ and not Notepad. I could edit this, right? So I can right-click, hit Customize. I could go in and I could edit Notepad. I'll double-click it. And here's the command editor. And that basically says, okay, Notepad's my label, here's the image that I want, and here's the function that I want to run it. Right? So you could just go in here and change this nice little path into Notepad++. This also is passing over a parameter, which means if I happen to have a text file at the time that I was highlighting, that it would automatically pass that file along. So I'm assuming, well, these are 0 bytes, but if I click on it and hit Notepad, it should pass that along, and you can see that I am indeed editing that file, even though there's really nothing in it. So these are the sorts of things that you can do, giving yourself quick access to applications that you use. For example, yeah, let me get rid of applications. And of course, you can make your own toolbars. You don't have to start with one of these. By the way, this is just another toolbar. This menu thing, if you're not a menu fan, you know, you can actually shut that off. You can. You can get rid of the menu altogether. It takes that whole bar away, but yeah, you can do it if that's not your thing, right? And again, I guess I'm trying to stress that everything is configurable. Everything. There's a couple of things, like you couldn't change the image of this arrow, for example, but you could probably change its color. You could definitely change the bar's color behind it. Okay, so a couple of other things, just to kind of give you some other ideas as to the sorts of things that I like to put in here. It depends, again, it depends on your workflow. What is it that you do all day? Do you do a lot of work with music? Do you do a lot of work with videos? Do you do a lot of work with Word documents or Office documents, right? So a couple of things is you may want to have the viewer pane on all the time. So no matter what you're looking at, the viewer pane will show you, if possible, what that file looks like. In this case, these are all just dummy files. My Monroe World intro, right? They're all the same thing. They're just named differently for other videos that I've done. But you can have this preview window open all the time if that's what your workflow needs. And workflow like this would be, I've got a ton of Office documents. I'm looking for the right Office document, and I need to flip through them quickly. You don't want to click all of them and open them all in Word and toggle through them until you find the right one. You can use the preview window instead, for example. Just to kind of finish this primer up here, there's a few things up here. Obviously, if you're a high FTP user, there's a complete full-blown address book, SSH, the whole bit. Anything you want to do with FTP, because is FTP really just file management? You bet it is. And what is the best thing to use for file management? Directory Opus. So all of your sites, your websites that you upload to, cloud storage that you might upload to, all of these sorts of things you can get access to via FTP, and it's very, very powerful. Now, a few other things that I want to show that a lot of people have questioned up front would be, what are a couple of the real power tools? What are some of the things where it's like, OMG, I can't believe that Directory Opus does that and nothing else does it? Let me show you just a couple of items. So first off, I'll go to my desktop, and I have a handful of images stored here. Right? And so a couple of things that you might notice is that if you hover over items inside of Directory Opus, they will give you a lot more detail about them. You don't have to click, you don't have to open up a meta tab, you don't have to right click and hit properties. It's just right there for you. And listen, depending on your workflow, this alone could save you more time than I can possibly enumerate in this video. Right? So this is alone is pretty cool. And if you're a quick mouse guy, you might not have ever noticed that's what happens. Right? You can also do, get this, built-in. This is true, file conversions, right? You need that PNG into a quick JPEG. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And you can even write it to the destination folder if you like, which we will do, just in case there was another file with that JPEG name in there. You can rotate, flip it. Imagine those stupid pictures you took on your phone where the EXILIF data doesn't show that it's horizontal versus vertical. You can change that really easy right here. And you know what I'm talking about when you take a selfie. You know what I'm talking about when you take a self picture with your phone and it's backwards for some reason. You can fix it right here, right now, as you are converting it to a JPEG, setting it to whatever quality you want. That's pretty cool. And you can even change its size. Wow, this thing is huge. Look at this thing. This is like a poster, like a big, giant, huge poster. I just want something, I want something suitable for social media. Okay. Converts it built in. Now, is image conversion file management? Directory Opus thinks so, and maybe so do you. So now we have the item, and it is good to go. Ooh, yay, it looks great. Okay. So that's good. Good stuff. So we have some image conversion, which is kind of nice. Some metadata on hover, which is really nice. What are some of the other cool, fun things that we can do with Directory Opus? Now, you already saw Flat View, which Flat View I live in almost all day long, right? So essentially what you're doing is oh, see, I took it down here, remember? It's out of this menu now because I moved it, right? So you already saw this, which to me, I mean, they copyrighted the term Flat View, and they absolutely should because, damn, I mean, this is fantastic stuff here. So the collapsed view is fantastic. You'll also find something else that's really cool. Column grouping. Now, I don't know if you can do this in Windows File Explorer yet or not, but this is some pretty cool action. If you right-click and you hit Group By, you can group by stuff like file names and sizes, types, dates and times, right? Some of the date and time stuff leaves a little bit to be desired, but let's say we're sorting by file name. Wait, really? It's logical grouping of files in a flat view. I don't have to go into any of these folders, and I can group them and simply look through the groups that I'm interested in. When you've got 10,000 pictures in a series of subfolders, damn, this could really help out. You can also, of course, group by other stuff as well. I mean, file name is great, but if you're looking for certain attributes or other items, I mean, there's so much you can do with this. I'm also going to show you something else that is immediately usable that will pay for your Directory Opus the minute you start using it. My C drive is full. Where is all the crap that's filling my C drive? Well, yes, there are dedicated tools like Snoop DOS, Sniffer, Space Sniffer, Snoop DOS. There's a whole bunch of other things I think that you can do for that, but why bother? You've got the ultimate Swiss Army knife file manager right here, and you can do just what you're trying to do. Which folder is sucking up all my space? Right-click, go to More on one of your column headers, doesn't matter which one. Go to Options, and Get Folder Sizes automatically. And apply, and watch the fun. Here we go. It is now parsing each and every folder for you in real time. I can still sit here and do stuff, and you can figure out exactly what folders are taking up all of your space. And if if you're a visual kind of guy, you can actually get, let's see, I believe it's this one, a relative disk space indicator. Yeah, I don't like looking at numbers, but if you like visuals, there you go. Once again, super easy, built in, no extra fees, no extra tools required, built into Directory Opus. Frickin' amazing. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you folder lock, which to me is another thing that if you need it, OMG, this is the greatest thing ever. If you don't need it, you're probably going to go, so what? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of movies. It's going to take a moment. Ah, yes, of course. Directory Opus does need some access depending on where your files are located. So go ahead and use the UAC elevator here as needed. That's because we're on the C drive, right? You need admin rights on Windows 10 to do funky things with the C drive. And I don't know if it actually was going to do it or I have to do this again. I don't remember. There we go. All right, so essentially now I've got 2 copies of the movie folder. Now we're going to pretend, we're going to imagine that, that this is a different drive, right? So we're going to assume that my C drive is up here, but maybe I've got a network share over here on my destination. You got to work with me here. So I'm going to call this other movies, whatever. Okay, so if I go, now you know the files are the same and so is the file structure, right? Because, well, they're a direct copy of each other. If you use a consistent file naming methodology for things like your movie storage, your MP3 storage, things like that, this might make a little more sense. So again, we're going to pretend this is my D drive movies and this is my C drive movies, just for the sake of argument. Up here is an amazing tool called Navigation Lock, something you didn't realize you had to have. Well, some of you need to have it anyway. If I click on that, every move that I make is mirrored in both listers. Go into 90 to 95, boom, This lister updated automatically. Go into action. Boom, this lister updates automatically. Now we would assume there'd be different movies in here, and I'm going to copy those to my destination. But navigation lock, if you're a developer, if you deploy stuff to servers, if you have a local copy of your website and a destination copy of your website, up in the cloud or whatever. Listen, there's 1,000,001 ways to use navigation lock. It's a genius tool if you need it. If you don't need it, maybe it's kind of a waste. But I'm trying to give you some ideas as to the things you can start thinking about. If we went into images, here's something else that a lot of people find really, really neat when they discover it. So if I go to my desktop and I go to images, right? Some of these have some metadata, like this Rocky picture. This has some metadata. This doesn't have squat. Right, it doesn't have really anything. But this one does. So if I were to highlight this Rocky and open up my metadata pane, I get access to all of that data and so much more. I mean, I have access to everything. Whereas if I looked at this BSG folder or this BSG picture, I have nothing. But let's say that I wanted this metadata in this picture. You're probably seeing where I'm going with this. I could drag this over. Oh, no, he's not going to do it. He's going to do it. Well, all right. He's going to do it. Look at this. Listen, some of you are going, so what? Some of you are going, OMG, I cannot believe what I might be able to do with this. Look at that. And it tells you exactly what it inserted, made all the changes. Think about MP3s. Think about podcasts. Think about personal media. Think about personal pictures. Listen, the sky's the limit. Then you can hit apply. I'm going to just hit cancel. So metadata copying, pretty freaking cool. All right, let's see. This has gone on a little bit long. I wanted to sort of keep this one short. I'm going to give you one more excellent ideas to some of the things you can do. This is going to send you on a complete tangent, which is great, which is what I want to leave you with, is imagine the possibilities. That's what I want to leave you with. Imagine the possibilities. So we have a whole bunch of movies, right? Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of movies. I can flat view them, of course. Right? Oop, got to go back down here. I have all of my movies now. You could think of this as hundreds instead of just a handful. And I want to perform a common operation. The new software that I have doesn't render spaces right. It puts some sort of weird character in there. I need to replace every single space and every single name with an underscore. Okay, well, you might think that Directory Opus, you'd have to go get some sort of special tool for that, but no, I assure you Directory Opus has your back. So we go into rename. First off, damn, this in itself can be so overwhelming when you start thinking about what's possible here. Things like sequential numbering, macro operations, modifying capitalizations, right? I can actually run a script against these files. Are you kidding me? I can write code. I can write VB script or JScript code to handle complex rename operations. Get the hell out of here. That just can't be possible, and yet it is, right? It is. Clear script. Yeah. All right, so let's do something that normal mortals can do. Let's talk about what we want to do here. Well, we know what we really need to do is a replacement. So let's take a look at our mode. Find and replace. Brilliant. I need to find a space, and I need to replace it with an underscore. Is it really that easy? Let's take a look. Good Lord, it is. I'm done. I could have done that by hand, which, by the way, this is really pretty cool. Like if you did have to do something by hand, right, and you had to affect each file. Let's say you go into rename and you're doing some rename operation, and then you want to go to the next one. You don't hit enter and then go to the next one, one tap it or hit F2, right? Watch this. So you start your edit operation, blah, 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 hit down. What? No, it doesn't. It just goes to the next one? I can sit here and pan through a rename operation? Get out of here. That's unbelievable. How fun and cool and super cool is that? Woohoo. Very, very neat, right? Of course, now I'd want to put all these back. I could do the same thing as I did before using my rename tool set. I could go back and do a find and replace, find my underscores, replace them with spaces. Imagine having 10,000 MP3s that you want to get rid of all of the underscores because that's how you got them off of Napster 50 years ago. All right, there you go. You're done. All finished. Pretty cool, right? So let's say that we go back to our images folder here, and we'll just do one more example of this. Let's say these aren't well-named pictures. They are, well, they're image 001, image 002, image 003, or maybe you've got disparate sources of data. Let's make a couple of copies here. Let's say you go on a trip. You take pictures with your point and shoot camera because you're not a savage. Your wife takes pictures with her camera. You take, with her phone rather. You take a few pictures with your phone too because the best camera is the one you have with you. You forgot to take your point and shoot to Pizza Palace and you captured a couple pictures on your phone. Your kid maybe captured some pictures on his phone. You've got this whole frickin' sloppy mess of different file type numbers without names, yada, yada, yada. Your Disneyland trip files are a mess. Yeah, well, you can imagine how quickly and easily we can get rid of these and solve the problem. Standard wildcard rename. Whatever the file name is, splat, star, whatever you want to call it. Whatever the file name is, it now needs to be Disney Trip 2022. Well, I've got a problem here. I got several PNGs here, and JPEGs are all going to get named the same, and it's going to blow up. Well, you can use automatically rename if new file name exists. That does work, but let's be a little more clever. Let's use sequential file numbering, starting at 0001 and incrementing by 1. It's just amazing what you can do with this tool. And now we're good to go. Now your Disneyland trip pictures are ready to go, ready to upload to Google Photos, whatever. And of course, you can always undo it with Control-Z. All right, listen, I could do an entire video on the power of renaming because if you hadn't noticed, there's a lot of stuff in rename. And if you can't figure out, if you can't come up with a solution, you've always got regular expressions. And regular expressions bring so much power into your world. You would not, I mean, listen, you're going to have to learn something. This regular expressions don't come cheap or free. But I assure you that if you need if you can master regular expressions, there's nothing you can't do. But you also have some keys, by the way, some presets over here. Capitalize words, right? So if I double click that, it automatically changes everything in here. And now you'll see that all of my words are capitalized. Make web safe, right? So spaces become underscores, right? Here's an example of a regular expression. This is built in for you folks, right? So it's, if you know regular expressions, you know what this means and you know how great it is that you can do it. Number files, right? This is sort of what we did before, but I took it a little further. Timestamp names. No way! Look at that, how cool is that? So if you were wondering, yes, you can rename using metadata, and I wish I were kidding when I say that it's so powerful you would not believe your eyes. So you could say, old name is Splat, new name is Splat, but I also want, oh my God, all of these different things. I need the file size. I would love to be able to have the file size as part of the file name. Done. Look at that. Whew. I mean, just it boggles the mind the amount of things that you can do with just rename alone is worth $60. To be honest with you. I mean, if you're trying to find to say, hey, listen, Shane, I don't think I can spend $60 on a file manager. I can't do that. Look at rename. That's really, along with everything else, the flat view, and the hundreds of other things that we haven't shown you yet, it's unbelievable. There's also, I'll show you another couple of quick things. Why not? There's aliases. Hit slash up in your lister bar, and you have access to all of the standardized sort of path relatable things, right? So if you wanted to go to your program data or program files, right? was app data. That's what I was thinking. Getting to app data always sucks, right? Because you always have to, oh, where is that? It's also a hidden folder, blah, blah, blah. So you just type /app data and you're in. How great is that? So you have those. So you have instant access to those kind of shortcuts. You also have, let's see, you also have access to variable paths, right? Hit % and you have access to all of those. Temp folders, all of these things that us power users need access to from time to time. Unbelievable. So you have access to those shortcuts. Of course you can make your own. Of course you can set favorites to the folders that you want, right? Hit this little button here and you can add it to your favorites. There's also an auto-generated thing. I've been to movies in temp quite a bit. These are being automatically generated for me, but for now I'm going to add this to my favorites. Bam. So now I have access to this anytime I want it. I mean, listen, I could go on and on. I could spend days sitting here going through feature after feature after feature after feature, showing you all of this great stuff. I mean, I didn't even show you other cool stuff like sizable thumbnails. I didn't even show you this stuff. You can go into a thumbnail mode. And once you're in thumbnail mode, you have access to changing your thumbnail size with a slider. Yeah, I didn't show you that. You can use basic settings. All of the hover over things that you expect still work while you're in here, right? All sorts of interesting stuff. Details with thumbnails. Pretty cool. That gives you access to all these cool columns too, and you can still see it. All sorts of interesting stuff that you can do. Now, I'm going to leave you with one more thing, system-wide hotkeys, because this is something that for the first 10 years I had of Directory Opus, I never used. And once I figured it out, it's like I have dozens of hotkeys now. What am I talking about with a hotkey? Well, let's say, we already know, by the way, if you double click your desktop, it'll automatically start Directory Opus by default. You can go in and change that action. That's another reason why I don't have a desktop icon, right? So let's talk about system-wide hotkeys. So sometimes you're in another application, say a video game, and you forgot to change your sound output to your headphones. That happens to me a lot. Now, you can get a little command line tool called near command, which, by the way, if you don't know what near tools are, congratulations. This was worth your time just to watch this. Nearsoft has a remarkable number. That was weird. Oh, I see it. Hit the Directory Opus thing. Nearsoft has a great little tool. It's a command line tool called near command, near CMD. Find near CMD. Freeware command line tool. With this thing, you can completely control everything in your PC almost. Open the door of your CD drive, set your volume to max, turn off your monitor. All of these things can be done with a very simple command line. Okay, that's cool. But so how do I run said command line? Right? So you download near command, you throw it in your Windows system folder or whatever, and you want to change your audio. You want to make your screen go to sleep. You want to close all Explorer windows, whatever you want to do, right? You're going to copy that command after, when everything is said and done. You can put it in a button, right? So I could go in here and customize, and then I could right click in here and say, make a new button. And I could double click this button and have it say, close all Explorer, right? And the function that it's going to perform is that. Oh, I can assign a hotkey? How about Shift-Alt-Z? Okay, sweet. So now, as long as Opus is up and running and I'm in the interface, if I hit that, it's going to try to run that command, but obviously it's not there, right? Because I didn't download it. But you can see it works. It tried to work. So if I close Opus, though, what about that? I mean, okay, so I'm in some other tool. I'm in a game or something, and I want to change my audio over. Okay, it doesn't work. It's because we didn't make it a system-wide hotkey. Right? So I can go in here, go to Customize, go to Keys, and let's see if I can find Control-Alt-Z. There it is. close all Explorer windows. If I double click it, see, it tells me what it's doing. But what we really need, though, is a system-wide hotkey. All right, so how do I set that? I mean, we know that there's some way of doing it. So how do we do that? So we're going to clear this off. We're going to actually say new system-wide hotkey. This has to be done from this keys thing. You can't just set one from within like that. So we're going to say new system-wide hotkey. All right. And we're going to make this one, the hotkey is going to be Control-Alt-Z, and the function is going to be that nearsoft thingy that we did. And we're going to make sure that it's a system-wide hotkey this time, which it is. Yeah, accepted. It knew that I had another one, which is very nice of it. Okay. All right. Let's try this again. There's nothing up my sleeve. Control-Alt-Z. Yep, it tried it. And I did not have Directory Opus had focus. Directory Opus isn't up front. Directory Opus, its little helper item is sitting here running, which is why you want it to start on startup, right? I told you I'd explain that. There it is. If I were to exit Directory Opus, things like double-clicking your desktop, actually, that might still work. Yeah, it does still work. I don't know how they hoop that in, but that still works. But if you close Directory Opus in its entirety, let's see if your system hotkeys still work. I don't remember if it hooks those in. No. So it does have to be running at startup, but that's okay. We can leave it sitting there running quietly in the sys tray because frankly, I pretty much live inside of Directory Opus on Windows when I'm actually not playing a game or doing something productive. Most of my time is spent doing file management. So there you have it. I gave you 45 minutes of setup, tricks, tips, and other good stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe. Please leave comments. Ask questions. I will be happy to give you whatever information that I can. If you have ideas, videos you'd like to see, please let me know. Whew, I'm exhausted. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Shane R. Monroe. As always, thanks so much for watching and take care.